is Ashley, and do you like my friends? I brought my kids and Bluey to work with me today. I'm seriously joking, but these cutouts right here definitely look in real life. And actually, when I first originally made this life-size cutout of my son, it was actually taller than my actual son in real life. These are huge. And also, Bluey right here is 36 inches in height. Didn't she turn out so cute? And she stands up on her own. All I have to do is set her down and she's freestanding. Now here's the deal, and that's why you're here today. Because these life-size characters are all the rage right now. And most of the creators that are creating these life-size cutouts, what they're doing is they're creating these prints within Canva and then sending them over to Walgreens or CVS. I'm gonna show you how to do that today. However, I would like to note here 2 things. First, if you're sending it over to Walgreens or CVS, there is a chance that they won't print your prints because if you're doing copyrighted characters, technically they're not even allowed to print them. Secondly, even if you find a coupon to print at their website and they will actually print it for you, the print itself is like $20 for a 24 by 36 print, even using a coupon, which frankly is kind of expensive if you're only doing like a one-time use thing. Like these characters would just be like one-time use for me, right? So there are options here. I'm going to show you a different option that's more economical. First, the not very economical version, if you're only going to do one, is to get your own oversized printer. I personally have my own 24-inch printer here in my craft room. That's how I was able to get these prints right here. I just printed them at home. Now, I don't suggest running out and buying a 24-inch printer because they are costly. I get my money's worth out of it just because I print a whole lot of oversized prints. But today, what I'm going to show you is if you have an 8.5 by 11 printer, just your standard inkjet printer at home, you're going to be able to create this Bluey cutout because I'm going to show you how. It's going to be easy, and we're going to use Canva for free. I'm going to show you how to use it for free. Now, I use the Pro Edition. I'm going to show you how to do it for free, but just to make sure that I cover all the bases here, I'm going to show you how we are going to create the cutout within Canva for free. I'm going to show you how to save it, and then I'm going to show you how to upload it into the Walgreens website, just in case you want to try going that route. I'm also going to show you how we would want to print it if you have a 24-inch printer, and then I'm going to show you how we print it on a standard 8.5 by 11 printer and then assemble. The great thing about this is no matter which way you choose, if you choose to go the Walgreens route, choose to go your 24-inch printer route, choose to go the standard printer route, the assembly for every single one of these character cutouts are all the same. So no matter what you choose, you're going to be able, by the end of this, to make your own character cutout. I'm going to give you different material options, what you should be using, what you shouldn't be using, and all that jazz so we can make our own large character cutout. The one thing that I love about this project in particular is you don't need a fancy piece of equipment. You just need a standard printer. Nothing fancy. All right, y'all, are you ready to learn how to make one of these cutouts? Let's go.
So the very first thing you want to do is head over to Canva. Then what you're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to create a design. Now what you want to do is come over here to custom sizes. Then what you want to do is come over to units, and we are going to change this over from pixels to inches. Now what we need to do is put in the size of the finished print that you want to print today. Now here's the deal though. If you are going to be using a website like Walgreens to get your photo printed, you want to make sure that you do whatever it is that they offer. So the largest one on the Walgreens website is 24 by 36. So you want to make your project 24 by 36. Now, if you have your own 24-inch printer like I do here, I can make it 24 inches wide because that's how wide my printer is by however long I need my print to be. You could also do it the way that I'm going to show you how to do that, and that's creating it any size that you want. But just to keep it all really simple throughout for all 3 methods, because essentially all 3 methods are all going to be the same, I'm going to just do what Walgreens offers, and that's going to be the 24 by 36. So in the width, you have to put 24, And then in the height, you want to do 36. Now again, I'm going to show you the method of just using a standard printer. And if we use a standard printer, we can essentially create this as large as we want because we're going to have pieces that we're going to have to construct together like a jigsaw puzzle later. So once you have that done, all you want to do is press Create Design. And now you have just a blank white screen. Now what we need to do is just get one of those characters that you want to use for your project. All you need to do is open up another window in your internet browser and put in any character that you want. So if you wanted a Bluey cutout, you would put in Bluey, and then what I would put is PNG, and then press return. And then you would come over here into images and you would select any one of these images that you wanted to use. However, here's the kicker, is you're going to want to suggest an image that has really high resolution. See this little number that's over here on the right? This says 660 by 893. We are going to be blowing up this picture very large, right? 24 by 36. That is huge. If we think about this number, 660, although it sounds really large, we're going to take that 660 and we're going to essentially make it like 3000 or whatever the end pixels are going to be. If you take an image that has really small resolution and blow it up into a really big print, chances of you getting a pixelated print is pretty high. So what you want to do is find a print that has really good quality resolution. So like this one, for instance, we have 1000, and I think that is a really good resolution. So you just want to keep looking for a print that has really good resolution. It's because Bluey is extremely popular right now. I'm going to do a Bluey cutout. I like this one right here because it's so cute, and I love the fact that it has really high resolution. What you want to do is right click on the image that you're going to be using, and then you just want to press copy image. Then what you want to do is come over into Canva. You're going to right click into Canva and press paste. Now you can see with my particular PNG file that I have, I don't have a background for my image, which is perfect, right? However, if you used an image that does have a background, what you would need to do is press this background remover. Now this background remover feature is a Canva Pro feature account, so you will have to pay for Canva Pro in order to use it. There is a workaround, and that is going over into the Remove Background website and uploading it into their website, saving it to your desktop, and then dropping it into Canva. I just like the fact that it's all in one spot, so I don't have to utilize a different website for this particular project. Now, because my PNG file does not have a background, I don't even have to do that button. All I'm going to do is make this box just a little bit smaller to hug my PNG file. And now all you want to do is you want to resize this to the size print that you're going to be using. You want to make sure that your entire print fills up your page that you're going to be printing. After we're done resizing, that's it. All of our design work is done. All you need to do now is come over here and press share, and then press download. Now, if you're going to be using Walgreens or CVS to print this, what I would suggest doing is saving this as a PNG file and then press download. However, if you're printing directly from your computer to your own large format printer, or we're going to be using a standard printer for this project, what I would suggest doing is this drop down box and doing PDF print. And all you need to do now is press download. Once it's done downloading, if you're using Walgreens or CVS, all you would need to do is just go into CVS and you would just create now, and you would order your print directly through CVS or Walgreens.
Now remember, if we're going to be using a large retailer like Walgreens, CVS, or anything like that, technically they're actually not even allowed to print trademark characters. There is a way around that, and the way is like, let's say I wanted to print a Bluey character from Walgreens. What I would need to do is contact the Bluey people, the people that own the Bluey character, and say, hey, do I have the rights to print this? And they would just give you a sheet saying, yes, Ashley Falco was allowed to print it. And then I would take it to Walgreens or CVS and they would allow it to print it. So if you send your file to Walgreens or CVS, and then you come to pick it up and they say, sorry, we can't print it, just know that can happen. Most of the time, you probably won't have that issue, but just in case it does happen to you, just know that is they are technically correct and they're not supposed to be printing it. That's why I'm trying to give you like another way to create these, just in case you don't want to even deal with this issue. Okay, so if you're gonna be using your own printer today, all you would need to do is just Command P, which is print. So if you're using your own large format printer, what you would need to do is just choose your normal 24-inch or oversized printer page, and you would want to set up your print as you normally would. However, I'm going to be using my standard printer today, just like you probably have at home. So I'm going to select my standard printer. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to poster. You're going to see that I have a bunch of these little dotted lines. That's perfect because I am going to be printing on standard letter size paper, 8.5 by 11. You are going to need 12 sheets. If you created the same design as me, you're going to need 12 sheets for this project. Now what we need to do is just set up our printer like we normally would. Now my particular printer, I can print borderless printing, so I'm not going to have to trim off any edges. So in order for me to do that, what I need to do is come down here to paper size and make sure that I'm printing on borderless. If you don't have a borderless printer, that's fine. You're just gonna have to trim up some of your sheets of paper when we go to assemble this. Then the very last thing that I need to do is just make sure that my media quality is selected to the type of paper that I'm going to be using for today's project. After loading in my paper into my printer, all I need to do is just press OK and print, and then print again. Now what we need to do is just wait for our printer to get done printing. All right, all my pages are done printing, and for whatever reason, my printer decided it did not want to print in borderless, which is fine because most printers aren't borderless, so I'm going to show you how to make your prints perfect. Now the stuff that you are going to need, because I did not have a borderless printer today, I'm going to be using my little paper trimmer. You could use scissors, however, to make this as professional looking as possible, I suggest getting one of these paper trimmers just to help make your cuts nice and straight. Also, this right here, some people use and some people use something else. I personally suggest using a strong grip glue stick. I love glue sticks because they go on really thick and they dry pretty quickly. I use this particular brand just because they really do the job. The bond of the glue is nice and tight. Other people use a spray adhesive. I personally don't like using the spray adhesive because the fumes kind of get in my nose and make me feel weird. So that's probably the other reason why I only use and stick to glue sticks for this project, just because I don't like the way that the spray adhesives make me feel. The foam that people use, there's two different types of foam. Now this foam you can either get at the Dollar Tree or Walmart online. Walmart is actually cheaper than the Dollar Tree. I think Walmart's is 98 cents and Dollar Tree's is $1.25. If you were going to be doing like a 24 by 36 inch print, obviously you're going to need multiple pieces of this because these ones aren't 24 by 36. What I would suggest doing if that's the case and you're going to do it like this is you're going to need some duct tape. And all you would need to do is tape up your seams to your foam board to the size that you're going to need. I would suggest doing the front and the back of your foam board. Now this right here, doing the foam board is actually the most economical way of making these large foam characters. However, if you're going to be making a bunch of them, the other option is going to your hardware store and picking up a sheet of foam insulation. This right here is generally what you would see when you insulate your garages or attic spaces. It's foam insulation. I got this particular one at Lowe's, and Lowe's has it with the silver backing, and then it has a white front. These sheets get sold in like 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. They're huge. They're $15 for that big of sheet. Definitely not as economical as doing the Dollar Tree foam ones, but the one thing that I do like about this is that I'm not gonna have to piece my character together because this is a perfect size for the character that I'm gonna be using for today. Okay, the other thing that I use for this project, and I would say that this is a need and not an optional, is an X-Acto knife that you plug in and it makes it piping hot. This just cuts your foam nice and crisp so you don't have like nasty ugly edges. You could use a standard X-Acto knife that you would get at the Dollar Tree. However, you're at that point you're not going to have really nice crisp edges. If you left it like that, you could leave it like that. But if you wanted to improve it a little bit more, taking sandpaper and sanding down your not crispy edges, you could do that instead. But just to make your life a lot easier with zero headaches, just pick yourself up one of these. So for most of these pieces of paper, there's going to be like a lot of character that I don't need. So all I'm going to do is trim out the background of my character just because I know I'm not going to need those. I'm going to go sheet by sheet. So here's the first one, here's the second one, and I am just going to trim it tight. Now, if you had your print printed at CVS or Walgreens, the glue that I would suggest you use is the same glue for that project as well. The amount of setup time that you need for a really large print is obviously going to be a lot quicker because you're not going to have to piece your thing together. Now, with one sheet, all I'm going to do is just trim up that little border. And you want to make sure and don't snag your piece of paper. Otherwise, if you have ugly cuts, your end result is going to be not cute. So I have my very first printout cut out. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to put my first row onto my sheet of foam that I have. So I'm going to use my glue stick. You're probably going to use a lot of glue for this project because what I want you to do is make it nice and heavy, making sure that we get everything glued down and looking really good. Now, if you use a glue stick, what you should note is that your paper will not start to curl and look really weird. If you use a water-based glue, what will happen is your glue will make your paper start to crinkle, leaving you with a not good cutout. Then using a brayer, what I would suggest doing is just making this nice and tight, pushing down good so you don't have any wrinkles or things lifting on your print. And if you need to, like I didn't put enough glue right here, all I'm going to do is just rub some glue on my foam, pushing my character down. And I'm just going to put some glue pretty heavy on my piece of foam. Now, my particular glue that I'm using, it does dry really quick. So you want to put it on heavy and then work at a pretty quick pace. So now you have your first row done. Now what we need to do is just keep moving on up the ladder, doing the same steps that we've done. I would suggest doing row by row, just like what we've done with the first row, so you don't get confused on where we put our pieces of paper, because like a normal puzzle, stuff can get very confusing if you don't pay attention on where to put your pieces. So I just suggest doing this nice and slow, row by row. Now that we have Bluey all glued onto our foam sheet, what you want to do now is plug in your hot X-Acto knife, making sure that this is piping hot before we start cutting. For projects like these, I pull out my not healing, self-healing mat, and I just put this underneath my foam sheets. The reason for that is I just like to protect my workspace. You definitely don't need that. You could just use a cutting board that you have in your kitchen if that's what you have. Just want to make sure and protect our workspace. One thing that I would like to note about these knives is I really wish they had a longer power cord because I don't think that they're long enough. But when your knife is piping hot, it should just be able to glide into your foam perfectly and not have any issues. Like, you shouldn't have to put too much force into it. But what you want to do is you want to obviously cut your character out. Some people like to leave borders around the characters. Some people like to go really close and leave no border. That is all up to you. If you are going to be cutting your paper with your X-Acto knife, make sure that we go all the way in. We're not using just our tip in order to cut. The reason for that is you will end up snagging your paper, and then your paper will get all miscut and look really weird. Because this is such a large character, what I would also suggest doing is going in smaller sections. Now my Bluey character is all finished and she's looking so cute. So the final thing for this project is like how to make it stand. You can do one of two things. The first thing you could do is take any leftover foam and create a right angle, hot glue it to the back of this, and then it would stand on its own. It's definitely an option. However, I don't really like that option because I don't really make right angles very well. So what I do is I get these cardboard little stands. They're called easel stands. I'll link them down below. But all you need to do is just take your little easel stand, just assemble it just like this. Take the little stickers off of it and put it on the back of your cutout. Just put it all right down the middle, pressing. And now when you do that, your characters will stand up all on their own. It's that easy, and I didn't have to pull out another hot glue gun, and I didn't have to figure out how to make a right angle. She turned out fabulous. Now I will have to note that doing something like this, piecing it together, small little pieces, is definitely not my favorite method. My favorite method is going the 24-inch printer route. That's because it's a lot faster, and B, it's cleaner because it's seamless. However, if you don't have a 24-inch printer or you don't want to pay up for that Walgreens print, doing this way is definitely, she looks great. There's nothing wrong with her, especially if it's just gonna be like a one-time use thing for like party decorations or something like that. Why spend the extra money when you don't have to? At the end of the day, doing a 24 by 36 inch project, it only took me an hour from start to finish. So between the design process, which hardly was anything, to printing and then cutting it out to then being here, it was an hour. It probably would have been 45 minutes had I done the 24-inch printer. So realistically, we're not saving a whole bunch of time. I just personally like the fact that there's no seams in anything, which ends up looking cleaner. But like I said, I would not spend up to get a 24-inch printer if you're only going to be doing these like every once in a while, you know what I mean? And just remember, this particular project that we did today, you could use the same steps doing something like this. Then you can make life-size character of your kids and just keep them in your craft room. I do. These I made like a couple years ago. They just sit around my craft room. I feel like somebody is always with me. In my craft room. That's because they look in real life. I love bringing my kids to work with me every single day. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.